How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to New Mexico State Men's Basketball News. I'm Marshall. In today's video, we're going to talk all about Christian Cook, former Aggie. This past 2 years, he had a great stint with us. Thought I would just do an overview on him. There hasn't been any big news recently that I've seen, but of course, right when I make this video, we'll probably see something about that. This may or may not be the last video I make before I go back to Artesia for the summer. I'll be there for an internship. I'm already doing the online portion here this week, and just have one more day tomorrow. Then I'll start Monday in person. And then you'll see the videos, in Artesia, my friend's place. So this will be the last video I see this background, more than likely, unless some breaking news happens last second, then I'll get you guys another video. That could definitely happen, but assuming it doesn't, I wouldn't mind if it did, if it's good news, obviously. But prepare yourself for the possible last video here in Washington. But, that'll be this weekend. I'll be traveling and stuff, so probably no videos then, but then early next week, hopefully get some out to you guys. I made an Instagram post and Twitter post and YouTube community post about Christian Cook. He was posting a video about how grateful he was for these past 2 years at New Mexico State. So I said, why not make a post and make a video about it? So let's get straight into it. This video is going to mainly highlight just his New Mexico State career. He was at Northeastern State in Oklahoma for 3 years, the Division II program. I'm not going to go too much into that just because, again, I want to talk purely about his NMSU career. But really quick, his freshman year didn't start a whole lot of games. That was the COVID year. He did average 7.7 points. The following year, he got a lot more PT, averaged about 14 a game. He started in most games that year. The next year, he averaged 16.8 points per game to average 12.9 for his Division II career, and he averaged just about the same at the Division I level. It should also be noted that Christian Cook is from Oklahoma City, so it's funny how he stayed in-state for a few years to play college basketball, and then come to New Mexico, just one state over, so I'm sure he heard a lot about the program coming in, heard a lot of great things. And since he is from Oklahoma City, I know his family are Thunder fans, so I'm sure they're all rooting for the Thunder to win the finals. Might be bittersweet because obviously Pascal Siakam for the Pacers, so Cook might be, he's obviously a big Thunder fan, probably rooting for them, but at the same time, maybe rooting for Pascal since he played at a school, arguably the best player in New Mexico State history. And again, maybe we'll make a video about that. And when I mean New Mexico State history, I mean basketball-wise. I guess you can make an argument for all sports. Diego Pavia is definitely up there. I would make the argument for all sports, but that's a different video, different subject topic for another day. Now let's get more into his NMSU career. I guess in general, looking at Cook's game, obviously his defense is good, don't get me wrong. He's a good on-ball defender, but he's not the type of guy to average a bunch of steals or blocks or anything. He's also not the type of guy to get a whole lot of assists. He gets his teammates involved, don't get me wrong, but he's not a point guard. He's not the type of guy to go out there and average 5 assists a game in college. Grabs about 2-3 boards a game. He's a pure shooter, can score the ball at will, can get up there, can dunk really well. He had some surprise dunks this past season and the season prior. Has had a lot of dominating performances of scoring 26 or 27. He had 27 against UNM this past year, 24 in a game against Middle Tennessee at home. That was his really only good game in the last month of the season. He kind of went on a stretch where he wasn't playing that well. And his first year with the Aggies had a stretch in the middle of the year where he wasn't playing great, but end of the year off strong, had 20 points against Western Kentucky in the Conference USA first round. And coaching his first year here, unfortunately, the team did lose by 20. And then Cook, he had that one shot against Kennesaw State in the first round of the Conference USA tournament this year that would have had the game going to overtime. It was a half-court shot, and it almost went in. It looked a lot better than his other shots that weren't going in. To be fair to Cook, defenses were planning on him really well because he was our best player all year long. The only good thing with that is that it did open up the court for Peter Filipovic to dominate a lot more. But they were, honing in on Cook like crazy, sending 2 to 3 defenders his way. So it was really hard for him to get into a rhythm. And despite all that, he still had a few good games here and there toward the end of the season. But a lot of his really, really good games came at the start of the year, for sure. In Cook's first year with the Aggies, he averaged a team-high 11.3 points. In his first game ever as an Aggie, played against Kentucky on the road, where he lost by 40. They were ranked 16th going into that year. Did lose in the first round to Oakland, which is pretty funny. That Jack dude was, making a bunch of threes, and he actually might have a chance to play in the NBA. Actually played for the Thunder's G League team, so that's pretty funny. Cook did manage to score 10 points that game, which was tied for the most points in the game. Him and Jalen Jackson-Posey played well. And shout out to Jalen Jackson-Posey. Had a pretty decent year this past year at Texas Southern. Not sure what he's going to do now. I think he's graduated or maybe has another year of eligibility. Maybe we'll make another video on him. Make videos going around talking about former Aggies, which we've done in the past. Cook's first dominating performance was against Northern Colorado at home. The Aggies had a 3-2 record after that game, and it was their first Division I win at that season. Had 26 points, shot the ball really well, and that's when he started following the account because we made a post about him. That was the first big post we made about him because that was his big game and helped the Aggies get a big win at home. That was the same day that the football team beat Auburn, and the volleyball team and women's basketball team also won that day. So it was a 4-game sweep. I remember the week prior, I think it was that Saturday, our football team, volleyball team, and women's basketball team all won, but our men's basketball team lost to UC Irvine 91-74. So it's kind of upsetting, the one sport that all the other sports that people love, but we're mainly more of a basketball school. So our main sport did lose, but we came back the next week and we were able to get the win. That way everybody won. And it was a 16-point comeback. That was also Femi Udikali's first game. He had 18 points. That's what you could see, the flashy skills from him, but not the great free throw shooting. But thankfully, Cook made it up for his good free throw shooting and three-point shooting. Speaking of free throws, he was really good at his free throws his first year, shot in the high 80s. This past year, he shot in the high 70s, so a little bit down, but he's still a guy you could trust at the line, and came up really clutch at the line against UNM, where he had 27 points this past year. Deontay Bostic had a great game that game as well, had 17. Robert Carpenter had 20, who I also plan on making a video about. I love Rob. He's probably going to be the guy I missed the most out of all the guys that were with the Aggies for the past 2 years under Hooten. He had 20 and 21 in his last 2 games against Sam Houston State and Kennesaw State. This video is not about them, obviously, but maybe I'll make a video about them soon. Another great game Christian Cook had was in conference play when we beat Liberty to advance to 4-3 in conference at the time. Beat them 79-73 in overtime. Jordan Rawls had a chance to win it in regulation, but missed the floater, unfortunately, and Coach Hooten got a little upset with him. But Cook stepped up, went 6 for 6 from the line overall, shot 9 for 17 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, which could have been a little bit better, but 27 points, you can't go wrong with that at all. He also upped his scoring a lot. To start the year, he was only averaging like 8 or 9 points a game. Got that up to like 11 to 12 a game toward the end of the year. So he just went on a scoring rampage. Scored 26 points in the last regular season game of the season against FIU to get that home win on senior day, which was huge, to advance to 13-18. Despite it not being a great record, the Aggies were 11-12 at one point, but went on a 6-game losing streak despite Cook playing well for most of that. And Femi actually played pretty decent as well. Aggies just couldn't get a win. But thankfully, the Cook was able to step up a lot and help the Aggies get some wins to end that year off on, I wouldn't say a high note, but a better note for sure. Christian Cook started his second year with the Aggies on a really, really high note. Obviously playing against New Mexico Highlands, a Division II program, which we dominated. Cook had 15 points with all of them being threes, shot 5 for 11 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3. He was a little upset early on because his shot wasn't falling. He had a lot of games like that toward the end where you could tell he was disappointed in himself because his shot wasn't falling. As a shooting guard, I played shooting guard before too. When you're not making shots, you feel like, you're worthless and you can't do anything. That's just how it feels sometimes. And you get really hard on yourself. And I can see that in Cook. Obviously, Cook's a Division I basketball player, and I just played in high school and played in intramural leagues in college. So nothing too crazy, obviously, compared to him. But I can kind of see where he was getting at, where he was upset with himself. And I like seeing that in a player because it goes to show how much they truly care about the program and their team winning the game. He followed that first game up with a 21-point outing against Utah Tech on the road to get the Aggies their first road win of the season in their first game. As you guys know, the 2 years previous, the Aggies sucked on the road, winning combined 2-22. This past year, they went 8-6 on the road, which is pretty respectable. It's not like the greatest thing in the world, but having a winning record on the road after being really, really bad on the road the past 2 years was definitely a step in the right direction. And I think this next year's team, as we talked about multiple times, has a chance to win 20 games. And if they can, I think this is a team that can be really good at home, go like 12-3, kind of like that team did the first year under Hooten, and then go maybe like an 8-6 on the road or even better to earn a 21 season or more. We already talked about that UNM game where he had 27. Something that doesn't get talked about a whole lot is he had 22 points against Texas, which we did lose by 24. Honestly, again, I would say a respectable loss against a really good program like Texas. And we shot the ball well. It was just that Texas shot the ball even better. They shot like really high percentage, and our defense wasn't even that bad. They were just making everything. It said that was the game right after UNM. And of course, UNM, I think they played against Highlands or I know it was Western. They played against a Division II school right after we just beat them. So of course, they were able to get their confidence back playing against a team they were able to dominate like they should have, just like how we're able to dominate those teams like we should. But of course, we got placed against a really good big program like Texas. But Cook had 22 points, shot the ball well, and the commentators were giving him a lot of credit and the whole team a lot of credit. After that game, we went on that 7-game winning streak, really turned around our season. After that 7-game winning streak, we obviously went on to lose 6 out of 7, but then once the Shamanga brothers started together, went 5-1 until we lost the last 2 games of the year. But after that Texas game, this is where we just took off, and Cook had a lot of great games right until the end of the year where he kind of struggled a little bit like we talked about earlier. To start off conference play against Sam Houston State, Cook went off against Coach Hooten's former school that he coached at. Had to get the win for Coach. Had 25 points. We were only 1-3 against Sam Houston, unfortunately. And I know there's a Sam Houston fan that watches some of the videos here and there. So you guys do have the upper hand on us. But hopefully this next year we can try to even it out by getting a sweep possibly. If not, as long as we can even it out. If we were the ones to get sweep, I would not like that at all. But we'll see how it goes. It's going to be really competitive. And Sam Houston, even though the record didn't show how good they were last year, they had a lot of injuries and they played well through it and were competitive in most games. So no doubt in my mind that they'll come back and be really strong. Their football team, though, I don't think they're going to be as good. Not too sure. Could be wrong on that. I know they were kind of, not so great their first year at the FBS level. This past year, they're really good. But I believe they lost a lot of guys. Could be wrong on that. I'm just going based on what I've seen on Twitter. Other than that, even when Cook didn't score in the 20s, still had a lot of double-digit point games, hence why he averaged 13 a game, along with Peter. So overall, like I said, really, really good scorer, really, really good shooter, worked his butt off on the defensive end as well, and a guy that just worked hard. Again, you could tell when he was upset, like those stretching games where he wasn't hitting shots, he was doing everything right. He was working hard. It wasn't a lack of effort at all. It was just shots weren't falling, and you could tell he was upset. And he did have some big games, toward the end. And even in those games that he wasn't shooting the ball great, stepped in on the defensive end and hit some really clutch free throws to win some of those games. Against Middle Tennessee on the road, I think he had 5 points, 1 for 11 from the field, 1 for 7 or 1 for 9 from 3. But hit 2 clutch free throws to help us win that game after the Aggies didn't score a single field goal in the last 6 minutes. That's also something I really hope improves this next year is the scoring ability from the team, which I think it will, and the offense in general. And I just don't want there to be like 2 to 3 minute stretches where the Aggies aren't scoring a bucket. And I don't think that'll be the case this year. And Christian Cook, there was a lot of times last year where we didn't score for 2 or 3 minutes, and he was the guy to step up and help us go over that hump. And again, even if he wasn't hitting his shots, he still did a lot of other things to help the team get the win. Christian Cook probably won't go down as one of the top players in Aggie history, but he was definitely one of, if not the best player on the Aggies this past 2 years. And, will be talked about for a long, long time. Coming from the whole scandal that happened, he was the guy that stepped in and was our leader right off the bat. So he's a guy that's always going to be known in history for that, and probably going to be one of the most loved Aggies of all time, just for that reason alone. And to go along with that, he's obviously a really, really good basketball player for us. I also got to know Christian Cook really well, which was really awesome. I remember the first time I saw him was the day right before they got whooped by UNM by 44 points on the road. I was walking outside his house and I saw him, so I was going to say something to him because he had just followed me on Instagram not too long before, but he went to me first and said something, so that was really cool. We both lived in Chimisa in the same patio for his first year here at NMSU, my second year there. And but the next year I think he lived off campus. I lived at a different part of Chimisa, so I didn't see him as much, but I still saw him around campus a lot with Rob, Christian Bayaku, Jaden Harris, a lot of guys. But those last few months, I didn't see him that often. I saw him at Taos every once in a while when I was walking by, but I didn't have a chance to see him or talk to him. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see him a whole lot those last couple months of school. But still, engaged with him a lot. He was a really cool dude, really laid back. Kind of reminds me of a Damian Lillard type. I've obviously never met Dame, but I've heard that a lot of people say he's a laid back dude. And Damian Lillard's my favorite player in NBA history, and Christian Cook's one of my favorite basketball players in NMSU history, so pretty cool how that ties together. With that all being said, that's going to close out the video today. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I also want to shout out Christian Cook's family. They're always, liking my stuff on Instagram and Twitter, mainly when it's about Cook, obviously, but even when it's not about Cook, they're still liking my stuff, and I really appreciate that from them. And again, that's going to close out the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm out.